Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Meenakshi from Animal Biotechnology, Luwas, Hisar. Today we are going to discuss about a module Basics of Animal Cell Biotechnology under the paper Animal Cell Biotechnology. So students, let us have learning objectives of the module. Introduction to cell lines. Why cell lines are needed, necessary conditions for their growth, type of culture, media with examples, and applications of cell culture in various fields. If we look into the history of animal cell culture, in 1878, the Claude Bernard prepared the physiological system of an organism can be maintained in a living system after the death of an organism. In 1885, Rouse maintained embryonated chicks cells in the cell line. If we see back into the history, in 1907, Harrison cultivated frog nerve cells in a lymph clot held by the hanging drop method, and he observed the growth of nerve fibers in vitro for several weeks. He was considered by some as the father of cell culture. Later on, 1940s, the use of antibiotic penicillin and streptomycin in culture medium decreased the problem of contamination in the cell culture. Then afterwards, 1952, Gay established a continuous cell line from a human cervical carcinoma known as HeLa. HeLa Lane, this is after the name of the patient. Delbecco developed plaque assay for animal viruses using confluent monolayers of the cultured cells. Further, in 1954, Abercrombie observed contact inhibition. Motility of the diploid cells in monolayer culture ceases when contact is made with the adjacent cells. Means cell to cell contact inhibit the further growth of the cells. In 1965, Harris and Watkins successfully fused human and mouse cells by use of a virus. Afterwards, in 1975, Kohler and Milstein, they produced first hybridoma capable of screening monoclonal antibodies. Now we have very good methods for production of monoclonal antibodies for therapeutic use. But that time it was very tough job to produce hybridoma in those conditions. Afterwards, in 1978, Sato developed a serum-free medium with the cocktail of hormones and growth factors. And subsequently, human insulin is produced, and in 1985, human growth factor were produced by using cell lines, and 1986, lymphoblastoid gamma interferon licensed, which was produced by genetic engineering. In 1987, tissue type plasminogen activator TPA became commercially available. 1989, recombinant erythropoietin in trial basis was carried out. It was available in the market. 1990, recombinant product in trial factor 5 was there using the monoclonal antibodies. When we grow the cell lines, we should understand the characteristics of different cell lines. A cell line is a permanently established cell culture that will proliferate, definitely given appropriate fresh medium and space. Means cells have properties of continuous growing, just like a cancer cell. It can grow infinitely. A culture can be developed from a single cell, and therefore it consists of cells with a uniform genetic makeup. For example, fibroblast cells, we take only single source, single cell and multiply them and then maintain them as a single cell line. There are several cell linkages, either similar or distinct. Generally, stem cells are used in this culture. They have similar linkages. After the subculture, the primary cell, they become a cell line and may be propagated and subcultured several times. But the important thing in case of stem cell is that we have to maintain the number of cells, because if they are overgrown, there will be cell to cell talk signaling. They will proliferate into different type of cells instead of single linear linkages. Some species, particularly rodents, they give rise to lines relatively easily maintained, and in case of other species, the cell lines are not that stable or not easily obtained. No cell line have been produced from avian tissues till date, and the establishment of cell line from human tissue is quite difficult. Types of different cell lines. We have normal cell lines, transformed cell lines, and stem cells, which are grown into different cell lines. The normal cell lines, they are taken from a tumor tissue and cultured as a single cell type, because in the tumor we have normally similar type of cells. In case of transformed cell line, normal cells, they underwent a genetic change to be a tumor cell. So we had to passage them several times to find out the transformed cells and to grow them as a cell line. In case of stem cells, they are master cells that generate other differentiated cell lines. That's why when we have to maintain the stem cells, number of the cells in the bottle or flask or the well is very important. They should not be overgrown to make them differentiated into cell types. Different tissues can be used as to grow into culture. We can have primary culture or continuous culture. When normal cells are cultured without any change in their division rate, they are the primary culture, like chicken embryo fibroblast. We take the chicken embryo, which is 9 to 12 days old. From that tissue, we isolate the cells by trypsinization, grow them as a monolayer, and we can passage them several times, but they are not immortal cells, because after 6 or 7 passages they become dead. They are not able to divide further. But in case of continuous cell line, we have finite cells and we have indefinite cell types. In case of finite cell types, the single cell type roughly 30 times of division enhanced by growth factor. So up to certain passages we can perform the cell division and maintain the cells. In case of indefinite cells, it is nearly the same as we have finite cells, but the cells here can divide indefinitely by transformation into tumor cells, and they are called as and cell lines, can be maintained for years together when we store them in liquid nitrogen. When we grow these cells into the laboratory, we have to maintain certain conditions required to maintain the viability of the cells. For this purpose, we need certain components such as growth medium, maintenance medium, a fermenter or type of the container in which we grow the cells, the temperature maintenance, pH maintenance, gas exchange, that is CO2 and oxygen. For normal cell culture, we require 5% CO2 concentration. Then we require the most important aseptic conditions. We can use the laminar flow for doing the cell culture, and then we should follow the different methods to monitor the cell growth, whether they are clean, performing the monolayers, they are healthy. When we see under microscope, showing their normal morphology, there is no contamination of bacteria or fungus, and we can propagate them by division using the trypsinization, passage them and maintain them. Use of antibiotics which inhibit the growth of contaminants was applied to the cell culture. Use of trypsin to remove adherent cells to subculture further from the culture vessel means we can grow one bottle into several bottles by detachment of the cells from the bottom of the bottle by using trypsin, and then use of chemically defined culture medium came into picture. To maintain different type of cell culture in the laboratory, depending upon the cell types, we require the growth medium. Different types of media available commercially which we can buy, we can order, and these media contain the biological fluids, for example plasma, serum, lymph, human placental cord serum, and amniotic fluid, etc. The natural medium is the tissue extract. In case of primary cell culture, we can have natural media, extract of liver, spleen, tumors, leukocytes, and bone marrow can be used to maintain the cells, as well as extract of bovine embryos and chicken embryos can be used to maintain the cells. The another source of media is the clots. Blood clots can be used to maintain these cells. Artificial medium are now available commercially, which are known as balanced salt solution BSS, then basal media, commercially you can get it, complex media, of course they are for certain type of cells like hybridoma or the lymphocyte cell culture. In balanced salt solution we have phosphate buffer saline, then DPBS, HBSS, EBSS, different type of media commercially available, and we have to use them according to the cell line and according to the requirement of the cells. Basal media, they are minimal essential media, and TMEM, minimum essential media, commercially available. Complex media are RPMI 1640 and IMDM. So these all media have to be prepared aseptically either by filtration or by autoclaving, because these media they come as a ready-made, or we can prepare them when we get them in the powder form. But while preparing these media, they should be prepared under sterilized conditions so that there are no chances of bacterial or fungal contaminations. Why we need these cell cultures? We need these cell culture technology to test different systems, different drugs, toxicity, because the live cells they are surrogate for the animals. They can be used in place of animals while testing any cosmetics or drugs or any extract of the plants. The model system for studying the basic cell biology, interaction between disease causing agents and cells means host pathogen interaction can be studied by using this cell culture system. Effects of drugs on the cells process and triggering of aging and nutritional studies. As you know, these days anti-aging agents are being prepared, and this is very hot area in the market to prepare the anti-aging substances and to see their toxic effect on the skin of the human beings or on the animals. Then toxicity testing are usually done on using these cell lines, like fibroblast or chicken embryo fibroblast, and human cell lines like CHO, HeLa, Viro, they can be used for testing of different antibiotics or drugs or any new biological substances. The cells play a very important role to test the anti-cancerous drugs, means the drugs which can cure the cancers, and we can know the function of various chemicals, viruses and radiations to convert the normal cell culture into the cancer cell. Means different factors which can cause the cancer can be studied by using these cell line systems. We know that viruses, they are obligatory parasites, they can't grow without any living system. So these cell lines, they are very good source for cultivation of the viruses. We can grow the viruses to study their properties. We grow them to produce the cell culture based vaccines. We grow the viruses to study their toxic properties or their pathogenesis. Production of the commercial proteins, large scale production of the viruses for use in vaccine production. And for example, you are aware of the polio, rabies, chickenpox and hepatitis B vaccine, which are being applied to the kids or the neonates when they are born. Polio drops, they are the live polio viruses, and that's why we have to maintain the cold chains when we use these type of cell culture based vaccines. Rabies vaccines, they are also anti-rabies vaccines. We have to maintain the cold chain, and same way for pox virus, we have to maintain the cold chain. If there is breakage of the cold chain, the virus becomes dead and the vaccine becomes ineffective. And hepatitis B is the first recombinant vaccine which is commercially available in the market and very effective. Now multivalent vaccines have been produced. For some reasons, we don't require live vaccines, we require attenuated vaccines. So attenuation part is being done using the different cell lines. As I told you that for growing the viruses, we need different cell lines. For example, for growing rotaviruses, we need MA104 cell line, which is rhesus monkey kidney cell line. For growing blue tongue virus, we need baby hamster kidney cell line, that is BHK21. For growing herpes virus, we require MDBK cell lines, maiden derby kidney cell lines, and so on. Depending upon the virus, we require the cells, and depending upon the virus causing infection in the body system, we require the cells of the same type to grow them into the laboratory. Further, for gene therapy, cells are being used as a functional gene can be replaced to the cells that are having non-functional genes. Means gene can be replaced or genetic effects can be cured by using gene therapy. There are various advantages of using the cell cultures. Number one is consistency and reproducibility of results by using a batch of cells of a single type is very good because we have consistency in the findings. Number two, it allows the greater understanding of the effects of particular compound on a specific cell type during toxicological testing procedures, and also less expensive than working with the animals as such. The another application or advantage is the production of biological products. They can avoid the introduction of viral proteins or contaminants using a well characterized cell culture. So we can have biological products in a large quantity when we use these cell systems, but there are always darker part of the things. The disadvantages of using this cell culture is that sometimes we can have the infection can be transmitted from these cells into the host we are going to use the tested products. For example, vaccines. If vaccine is contaminated by some other pathogens which can be grown into the same cell line, it can be harmful for using for the animals or the human beings. So when we are dealing with the cell cultures, we should be very careful so that there is no cross contamination of the infectious agent when growing into the cells, especially the viruses. So another application is that we can have through recombinant DNA technology, we can have the expression vector and the host cell and gene of interest can be transferred to the cells, and we can have the recombinant clones and we can grow the products of the gene we required. We have targeted it to produce the product we are interested in. So using these cell lines, cell technology, we can have large quantity of the gene expression products, and we can scale up using the biofermenters at commercial levels, and these can be purified and can be used for treatment or the therapeutic purposes. So as we discussed that we need different media depending upon the cell line type of the cells. Different type of medias are available and they have different applications in the cell lines. For example, if we use IMDM, bone marrow, hematopoietic cells, progenitor cells, human lymphoblastoids, leukemia cell lines can be used for producing this type of medium. Minimal essential medium can be used for chick embryo fibroblast, CHO cells of human origin, embryonic nerve cells, alveolar type of cells from lungs, endothelium cells, epidermis, fibroblast, glia, glioma, human tumors, and melanomas. So this medium can be used for all these type of cells. Then DMEM, it can be used for mesenchymal stem cells, chondrocytes, fibroblast, endothelium, fetal alveolar epithelial cells 2, cervix epithelium, GIT cells, mouse neuroblastoma, porcine cell from thyroid glands, ovarian carcinoma cell lines, skeletal muscles, Sertoli cells, Syrian hamster fibroblast. So all these cells, they can be efficiently grown by using DMEM. Then very specific medium is the RPMI 1640. This is the special medium for T cell and the thymocytes, hematopoietic stem cells, human tumors, human myeloid leukemia cell lines, human lymphoblastoid cell leukemia cell lines, mouse myeloma, mouse leukemia, mouse erythroleukemia, mouse hybridoma, rat liver cells, and most of the time for mouse hybridoma cells we use RPMI 1640. Then nutrient mixture of F10 and F12. They are commercially available in the same number, same form. Can be used for chick embryo, pigmented retina, bone cells, cartilages, adipose tissues, embryonic lung cells, and skeletal muscle cells, which are difficult to grow in the ordinary medium. We add this nutrient mixture to the cell medium. So different cell lines have been produced for different products. For example, human tumors, the product is angiogenic factor, means by using these cell lines we can have these angiogenic factor in large quantity production. Human leukocytes, they can be used for production of interferons. Mice fibroblasts have been used to produce large quantity of interferons. Human kidney cell lines have been used for urokinase. Duck embryo fluid have been used for vaccines and rabies and rubella. So whatever vaccine we produce for rabies and rubella treatment or immunization, these vaccine can be produced using duck embryo fluid. Then human kidney cells, they are useful for producing human proteins. So different cell have different cell products which are commercially available or can be produced in the laboratory. Introducing new genetic material into animals. Retrovirus mediated transgenics were produced, infecting mouse embryos with retroviruses before the embryo or implant. Size of the transgene means transferred genetic material was limited. Then pronuclear microinjection technique was used to introduce the transgene DNA at the earliest possible stage of development of the zygote, and DNA is injected directly into the nucleus of egg or the sperm. We can use embryonic stem cells for producing certain products. Embryonic stem cells, they are mixed with the DNA and they will absorb the DNA, and we transform the cells, and then the gene introduced into the cell can multiply and produce the gene product into the form of the desired protein or desired any product based on the gene. Sperm mediated transfer can be carried out, and we use the linker proteins to attach DNA to the sperms. Then, as you see in the figure, we can have spermatozoa and DNA is there, incubation is carried out, then spermatozoa plus DNA, the transfer of DNA is there, and fertilization takes place, and transgenic animal can be produced. The same thing can be carried out by using gene guns, and we can use these guns to transfer the DNA into the cell of the animal to produce the transgenic animals. What are transgenic animals? Why they are called as transgenic? Can use gene transfer to improve the productivity of the livestock. So we can insert a gene from outside to the animal and introduce genes for faster growth rates or the linear growth pattern, quicker to market and healthier meat. Means we can give the injections of the, we can insert the gene for growth hormone and can have the size of the animal double or triple than the original one. For example, in chickens, dairy industry, and in the enviro pig. So the size can be bigger to have more profit to the animal owners. Transgenic animals, they are bioreactors, means we can use them as a bioreactor to produce more amount of the products. Whole animal can serve as bioreactor to produce proteins. Gene for desired proteins is introduced via transgenics to the target cell. By using cloning techniques, cell is released to become an adult animal and produce milk or eggs that are rich in the desired protein products. As I told you that we can produce human antibodies in the animals which are known as hybridoma. We can have a gene of interest against which we want the antibodies, means antigen is injected into the mouse, and then we can have myeloma cells and the animal spleen or liver cells which are containing the gene of interest. Fusion is carried out using the PEG. There is standard protocol for carried out all these things, and using these standard protocols we can have transformed cells which can produce the product of the gene we are interested in and have been inserted into the mouse, and these antibodies are being produced in the mouse cells which are known as hybridoma. These hybridoma, they are very stable. They can be cultivated into the 96 well plate, can be stored at liquid nitrogen for further use, and whenever we require these antibodies, these cells are taken and given intraperitoneally into the mouse, and the ascites is produced. We take out the ascites fluid which contains the antibodies against a particular antigen we inserted into the mice. So these antibodies or hybridomas, they have therapeutic values, can be used to treat the diseases or the infection in the man and animals. When for the first time these hybridoma they were discovered, they were treated as Ramban, which can cure all the diseases by using this hybridoma technology. But later on, we find out many fault or many drawbacks in these antibodies, but still they are very good source of antibodies to treat the infection. Many drugs can be produced using cell culture, especially of animal origin. Mammalian cell lines have been developed rather than the chicken embryo or the chicken eggs, because chicken embryonic cells, they are not very stable, they cannot be propagated for longer time, whereas mammalian cells, they can be grown for longer time, can be made infinite cell type, which can be grown for infinite time of passages, and these cells are also useful for producing the vaccines like Flusvax, and the FDA in USA has approved it as the first mammalian cell-based influenza vaccine in November 2012. And this vaccine has been produced by the company Novavax through culturing of the Maiden Derby kidney cell line, as I told you that MDCK cell line. So these cells are produced, they are taken, the viruses are passaged into these cell lines. After several passages, these viruses become attenuated, less pathogenic, less virulent, and those less virulent vaccines, they are then again tested in the animals, and when there is no disease caused by these viruses, they are then used for vaccine production. So cell culture attenuated vaccines are very good and safe for human and animal use. Several drugs against the viruses have also been used, and they used to be tested into the animals, but now most of the time these drugs are being tested into the animal cell culture system like MDBK cells or MDCK cells, and the influenza subtypes drugs have been tested before giving to the patients or to the birds. As I told you that vaccine are being produced using the animal cell culture. So this is one of the example, and the flow diagram shows different steps of producing the vaccines, different passages of the virus into the cells, then their lots have been produced and uniform lots are being tested, and after final testing they are being used for the vaccination in the field or for the human health purposes. We can have different cell therapies using the stem cells. They are unique tools for the treatment of wide range of diseases for which traditional therapies have been failed or they do not exist till date. Because these cells have the property like expansion and differentiation, and using these cell properties we can use them in clinical protocols. It is necessary to understand the nature and properties of stem cells before using them, because different signal under different type of signals, medium, pH, concentrations, they grow differentially. Means once the signal is given to the pluripotent cells, they may differentiate into different kind of cells, which we have to identify by using different type of the cell markers. The obvious application of the stem cells are for bone marrow transplant, because when we have hemopoietic defects in the body, then the bone marrow stem cells are the best source for treatment in case of any type of cancer, immunodeficiencies, metabolic diseases, and hemoglobinopathies, myocardial infarction. For all these ailments, bone marrow stem cells are the good source for treatment. For neural embryonic tissues which have neuronal cells, they are very useful in Parkinson's disease, where the brain cells, they become dead or inactive. To regenerate them, we can have transplantation of the neural embryonic tissue to regenerate the brain. And very recently, the miniature brain has been developed to cure the neural diseases of the brain and other body parts. To cure the skin problems, we have the epithelial cells, which can be transplanted for burns or ulcers or any genetic skin diseases. So, by transplanting these stem cells from the skin, regeneration of the cells can be there. In case of burns, we have huge damage of the cells. They can be repaired when skin grafting is there using the skin cells. In most of the pancreatic diseases, loss of cells is there. In case of diabetes, which is thought to be irreversible disease phenomena, now can be reversible by using the stem cells of the pancreas to regenerate the pancreatic cells to cure the diabetes in the diabetic patients. So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. Animal cell culture has been important tool in cell biology and molecular biology. The selection of appropriate cell line and growth medium for the in vitro cultivation of cells are very important factors for their proper growth and to maintain the cells. There are so many applications of the techniques in various fields like toxicity testing, gene therapy, cancer research, genetic engineering, and drug development and screening of the toxins, etc. Thank you.